Hello! Today we will try to create a new component for the Trimble Connect Workspace API. I want to provide the functionality of searching, just finding some elements in the IFC file based on some property value. And at the very beginning I thought that it could be done somewhere here, but of course that searching is related to the models. That particular project, it has only one model. So in the vanilla Trimble Connect, you can do it with the data table, where you can click the search button and then provide something like IFC slab. And now I have only the slabs, but if it would be the IFC beam, then voila, we have it. And this searching, it works only for the columns which are currently visible. So if you would like to find the elements which will meet the filter, then you have to provide a different column order for that particular value. I want to get something different, something which will try to search in every property. Not only those which are listed in the data table, just the naive searching for all of the properties. And based on the previous videos, we have some Vite application which can create section planes for the selection, which can also annotate selected by displaying the property value. So let's start with creating a completely new application, and it will be named like element search. Okay, I will export the default function. And what do we have here? The most similar thing will be those markup annotations, which were also based on the property values, and it's quite similar approach, I would say. So let's start with just copy-pasting the same skeleton for our stuff. So our function will get during initialization the Trimble Connect API. And now we will have to provide some import, okay, and of course this function has to return some HTML just for the sake of React. Okay, and here let's not think what here will be. Let's just say that it will be some input, but yeah, maybe at the very beginning just sample input, some text box, and let's try to wire it up with our application. So I want to display it somewhere below the annotation. In the next video, we will look much deeper into the layout, into the styling of that application, but now I just want to provide more functionality. So now I have specified the function, which will be the React component, and let's provide it here. It will be element search, and we have to provide the API. So here it is. Okay, and let's close the. Here it is. Okay, npm run dev, and let's see how it will work. Okay, I have got one additional text box. It's not clearly visible what is it all about. So here I will just provide some paragraph, sample input. Okay, maybe search. Okay. As I said, in the next video we will try to make it more visual. We will give it here better visual appearance. Okay, so we have some search box, and we are not currently getting that value. So we need to provide some I suggest to use exactly the same as for the markup annotations. So here I will get this. Yeah, let's just grab a little. Where it was, it is here. Okay, so here is the state used for the previous one. Let's just import React, and now search value. It will be the name of that variable, and set search value. Okay, and now of course we have to provide two different things. So the first one is about the displaying the value, and then what should happen after changing it. So I will copy it here and say that. Okay, so now this my input, which I will provide here, is stored inside of that variable. Okay, but of course it doesn't touch at any point the Trimble Connect API. So we have to somehow check the provided value, this search value, with the properties of our objects. And yeah, currently we don't have those properties. And using the pure Workspace API, we can't use inbuilt mechanics for that kind of a filtering, because we are providing only the subset of the name, which will be the contains filter. So we don't want to say the user that you need to provide the exact name. So what is inside of the Workspace API will not fit our needs. We could use some model API, but it would need the access token, which I don't want to touch during that 7 videos. So let's try to store the properties of all of those objects at the very beginning of that component. So I want to do it only once, so I will not use state, but it will be use effect. And for that use effect, I will create some mapping table, some functionality to be able quickly find out elements which will contain provided value. And here I don't want to specify in which exactly property it should be checked. So for example, if someone will try to find W250, then it will be found both in that property and also in that property. So I don't want to enforce the user that you need to know where exactly you would like to check. Maybe it would be nice, maybe not. We will see how the development will go on. So now we are getting that value. Maybe let's just try to show that on the console, just to prove you that it is displayed. Target value, okay, some typo. And now after running, I will just provide something, and you see that the input from the user is stored as a state variable. It was just for the demonstration purpose. Okay, so let's go back to querying the elements from the Trimble Connect API. So as I said, I will use effect for the purpose, because I don't want to do it every time when the re-render will be triggered. So let's just provide here the use effect, and that use effect, it will be like that. So it will be the anonymous function, which will do something, and it should not rely on any variable, so it will not have any dependencies. Okay, that is that. And now yeah, the typical problem with working with the API, which is asynchronous. So if I would like to get API viewer elements or objects, get objects, okay, so here I will get the promise. So this is the asynchronous, so I should prepend that method with the await, or use the then keyword and then try to change it, but I don't want to do that. So to overcome that problem, that await could not be used inside of the use effect directly, we need to do exactly the same thing as we did in the app TSX. So here we defined the asynchronous function, and then we invoked it inside of the use effect, and it triggered the variables. So I will for now just copy it and say, of course, it will be not the connect with API, but get object properties. It will be like that, and here I will use it like that. Okay. So here I will not be awaiting for the Workspace API the connection, because at that point we have that connection established. I will just get viewer, get elements, get objects. It was like that. And here we can provide some properties like the selector and object state. So here we can specify, for example, should we get only the elements which are selected or which are visible, probably. Object state, what was that? Yes, it was for that. I will query all of those elements, but please be aware that your model probably is much bigger than that one. So probably you would like to limit only to those which user already pre-filtered. So please be aware about the consequences. And here, as a promise, I will get all of the model objects, the array of them. So I will just create model objects and await for the finishing of that one. Okay. So let's just drop them to the console to see what we will have. We had it previously, so it is here. And what we obtained? We obtained the array with only one element, because we have one model. So this get objects is returning us the array of models, and then inside of that box we are getting the objects. So over 1000 of objects, and all of them, they are just some identifiers. So definitely this is not what we want, because we want to get their properties, their internal details. So the get objects is not enough. Probably we will have to specify also the selector to include the properties for that one. And as I think that it was already done somewhere before. It took some time to get property value, get objects. Yeah, let's just drop it down, get model objects, get object properties. Oh, it could be done like that. But now I want to read them all. So I will have to think a little. So what do we have here? We should prepare the object selector. Okay. Let's try to construct that object, and we need to import it from the Trimble Workspace API, and it was maybe that one. No, it would be used for the querying. So let's go to the output. Okay, I want to provide the output, and that object, it needs to have load properties. I will set it as a true, and let's try to find what will be the effect. Of course, I have to pass that here, and then okay, I have obtained those elements, and now those objects, they have all of those properties, quite a lot of them. So every object is now connected to its property values, but they are wrapped in the property set. So here we have the property set IFC rectangle profile, and inside of this property set we have 3 different properties. And yeah, now I want to create the functionality to try to find out those elements by searching. Okay, but here those model objects, they are living only inside of this asynchronous function, so we have to preserve them somehow, and that variable is not needed for the rendering because we are getting it only once when that component is loaded. Of course, maybe if you would like to write something more production ready, then maybe you should refresh the list of those elements after changing the model, after changing the project, etc. But yeah, now I'm just cutting the corners to make it as simple as I can. So here I'm getting the model objects, and as usually I will simplify that to only work on one model. So if now, yeah, let's just if those model objects, if their length is equal to 0, then return. But for now, I will just use the first model and then try to get its objects. So I will skip this identifier of the model, and yeah, I want only to get the content, the array of those objects. Maybe it's too big simplification, but yeah, you have to follow me or just close that video. So okay, we will have those objects, but we need to preserve them somehow. So in React, we can use state or effect, or we can use also use memo, use ref. It was that. Okay, so I want to store those model objects, but I don't want to trigger re-render. I just want to do it once. So here, what type of object? Those are object properties. Okay, one more thing. Here we will have the identifier and the properties. Exactly, this is what do we need. Okay, so let's store our model objects using the useRef, and I will reuse the same name. I will have to change it right soon, but okay. Here I will be storing the object properties. It will be the array of them, and I will start with the empty array, and of course I have to import that from the oh, maybe I have, and we have useRef. Yes, object properties, here it is. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, this is the syntax, the proper syntax for useRef. Sorry for mistake. Okay, and here I would like to store them, and I will use the model objects current to save them. And model objects cannot be assigned to the properties. Yep. Okay, because it should be stored here, because I was making it in the wrong place. And here response. Okay, so model objects are stored as a variable which will not be cleared during the re-render of React. And here I'm setting it only once because the use effect hook is triggered only once. And now I have those objects stored inside of that function, but we are missing the functionality to just provide some searching after the triggering. So here we are setting search value, but that should be extracted to a separate function, because we are not only storing that value, but also I would like to re-render the list of elements which will be found, and currently we don't have it in any place. So okay, let's go next. But let's start first with the search box, because now we are only setting the state value and we are not doing anything. And we could create a new function which would set that value and also process it, but in React we can also use effect the second time, but now it will be dependent on that state variable. So let's try that approach. So I will create next use effect, and now it will be dependent on the search value. So when the search value will change, then that function will be triggered. And let's just try to check it by just plotting to the console the provided value. So now, after providing some input, I'm getting it back. So only that use effect is triggered. Okay, and why I am doing that? Because I would like to find the elements which property contains that text, just like that. So inside of that use effect, I want to query all of those model object properties if it has something, of course, because maybe that model is empty or something was not loaded. So if its length is equal to 0, then just let's return without notifying the user. But if it has something, then I have to try to select something on that list. I will be using the for loop for iteration over all of those model objects, and inside of that loop I will try to check if some of the property sets and some of its values has the same value as the input from the user, and if all of those requirements will be met, then I will add this model object to our results. So we need some object to hold those results, so I will just name it like the results, and it will be the object properties, and at the very beginning it will be just the empty array. Let's print it, and when the user is typing anything, then we are returning empty array. Okay, as I said, now it's time to loop over every model object to try to find which of them will meet our criteria. So it will be model object and model objects current. Okay, and those objects, they have the properties, but it can be undefined. So let's start with just checking if it is undefined, and if it is, then we should continue to the next element. Usually Trimble Connect API returns those properties, especially when we specified it during that object selector. So yeah, but it's in case when that property is not set to true, then those properties will be missing. Okay, but we have checked that they are not undefined, so we can work on that. And what is that? This is the array of different property sets, and each property set, it has its set versus val name and the properties, and we want to check those properties, their values, which are held here. Okay, so let's try with maybe trying to see if any property set meets our criteria. So I will use sum, and I will just any meets. I will just use it like that. And what do we have here? P set, and what we can check. Those p set, it has some name and also the properties. So I want to see if any of those properties will meet my criteria, will fit to the search value. So I want here, yeah, if they are undefined, then we don't want to do anything, but otherwise we want to do quite a lot. So here, if those properties are defined, then I want to go one level deeper. So here I will ask for sum and the property and its value, and yeah, that value, it can be the string or a number, and we can check if it is the string or if it is the number by checking the property type. another property of that interface. And here you can see that it can be the length, area, volume, or integer or string. So you can implement different strategies for searching, for comparing different objects, because yeah, for the strings you want to just try, does it contain some phrase, but for the numbers maybe you want to use some threshold. It's up to you how you would like to implement that functionality. But now I will just go to with the lazy mode and convert it to the local string. And what's more, I want to make it I want to have it as a lower. Oh, I can use just that one, but not really. To local, to lowercase, just like that. And when I have it as a lowercase, then I can check if it includes some of the search phrase. But okay, so here we are going down to the lowercase letters, but we have not done it for the lowered search value to lowercase. Okay, so we will be comparing both strings as a lowercase. Okay, so what do I have now? Here I have sum, and I'm not returning anything, so I should return here sum, and it should be fine. But is it really? Let's find out. So I will try to write something, and it's not working. And the reason behind that is that I am not using in any place this variable. So I'm checking all of those properties, but I'm not taking action after getting the effect of that comparison. So the missing line, if any meets, then I want to push that object to the result. And that is the missing piece. So now I know that there are over 400 elements which has the megapascal in some of the properties. If I will make it like that, then it's the same. If I will try to find concrete, then I'm getting a little less. If still without typo, then I'm getting those still elements. And okay, but displaying them in the console is not very convenient. So it would be nice if we will be able to check them somehow in a maybe viewer, or maybe in some list which will be provided below the search box. So let's start maybe with just trying to select those objects. So yeah, let's try. But okay, we are inside of the use effect, and we can't invoke the Workspace API with the await, but we can do it like that. So I will just fire and forget, and let's go to the viewer and select, set selection. Okay, so what do I need here? I need to provide the selector, and by the selector probably it will be the model object IDs, and here I need the model ID and the object runtime IDs, and I have those runtime IDs because they are here, but I'm not getting the model ID because yeah, I have skipped it somewhere here when I just said that hey, I will be working only in one model, and yeah, now it hurts. But okay, let's try to fix that just by adding some model ID. It will be the ref, and probably it is the string, but let's find out. So at the very beginning it will be the empty string, and now I want to set it during this use effect. Model ID, current response, first model, and model ID. Yep, it's the string. Okay, so I will get the model ID from the ref. Probably it should be wrapped in some type, but for just this ad hoc functionality, when I want to set some selection, I will just create this object. It's the object selector, and what do we have here? Model object ID, not really. Model object IDs and model ID. This is that, and runtime object. I have to check what is the name. Model object IDs, model ID object runtime IDs. Okay. Why it complains here? There are two things wrong. The first is that here we need to provide the array, not the single object. So that is the first mistake, and the second one is that one. It was the React hook, so we need to get the current reference of the model ID. And now it should provide, yep, here it is. Okay, so what are the runtime IDs? We have those results, so let's just map it to those IDs. Okay, here it is. Let's see if this setting the selection will work. Oh, the whole model was selected. Let's provide maybe steel. Okay, now only elements which has the steel in their name were selected. And yeah, now let's just provide maybe concrete, and only the concrete elements are selected. Okay, maybe something more specific what we can check, maybe some location. What do we have here? Phasing, not really. Dimensions, other. Column type. Oh, maybe that. Let's select only those columns which have that string inside of them. I think that in that model it is almost every column. Those probably are a little lower. Yep. So if I will now change the searching phrase, then I'm getting only those. Okay, quite nice, but there is, I think, one problem, that when you are typing elements, this, yeah, when the search text box is empty, then we are trying to find every element which includes the empty string, so it selects all of them. So let's at the very beginning just create this check. So now if there are no elements selected, oh nope, if there are no elements selected, then it should be it should return, but it's not working as I would. Okay, yeah, it stayed with the previous selection. So if the previous state was that was something, then it stays like that because the execution of that function is stopped here. It's the, yeah, we could here reset the selection, but I'm not sure that it is the correct approach to that condition. So definitely we don't need that console log. It is done. Okay, and now I can try to find for different elements by every property. We could try to combine this searching to not try to find in every property, but maybe some drop down, some combo box where we could specify the property type in which we would like to search. But yeah, there are some times when you don't know exactly in where would you like to conduct the searching, so it depends. But definitely we need one more thing. We need a list of elements just below that box, because now we are selecting objects in Tekla, sorry, in Trimble Connect, but it would be nice just to provide a list of them, and maybe later we will be able to click on them and select, or maybe change the color. Yeah, it all depends on the use case. So now I would like to go back to the HTML, and here it would be nice to preserve that those results, because here we have the results and they are checked and populated here during those set of conditions, but they disappear just after the use effect. They are not preserved. We are not storing them in any state. But we would like to provide a list of them in the UI. So we need them in a state. And of course, the question is, what exactly do we need them there? So maybe let's try to preserve those object properties, because we will have the unique identifier for every element, and later maybe we would like to display maybe some naming, maybe some class, something like that. So I definitely now want to push upward this array of object properties in the result, because that variable were all of the model objects. So I will rename it to the all model objects and provide the new state with the filtered objects, something like that. So I will use the empty array at the very beginning, filtered objects, and here we will have set filtered objects. Okay, I will have a new state, and there is some error. What was that? I have some typo somewhere here. Okay, so typo is behind us, and now I want to set those filtered objects, and let's do it somewhere here, just after the selection. So I will save them here. So yeah, of course there are some edge cases when, for example, the search value is not provided, but we will still provide the previous objects. So maybe here it would be better to create something like that, just to have that edge case handled in one place. So I will go here, and in that place, before returning, I will set filtered objects as an empty array, just like that, because yeah, it will help a lot. Okay, so now we need to provide some kind of a list, some kind of an object list. So how we can do that? Okay, I will just try to display the UL at the very beginning, and here I have to provide some JavaScript inside, and those will be the filtered objects, and I will map them object, and I have to provide here an li element. Here it is, and the React demands from us to provide a key for every thing. And it's quite easy, because from the Trimble Connect Workspace API we are getting the identifiers, and they will be unique. So during the reconciliation of the React, it will be much easier to display. But of course there is also the name question, because here we should provide some maybe product and name. Let's try it. So now I will try to find all of the steel elements, and as you can see, we are getting quite a lot of them, and I have the problem with the visibility. So okay, every element which was found is now displayed. Yeah, maybe it's not the most convenient way for showing those elements, but here they are. Later, when I will try to style it a little, maybe we will try to group them in some categories and also provide some ability to click. Yeah, because now it's not very convenient to see all of them in a very long list. So maybe just for now, I will provide not the product name, because it's quite a long one, but I will just display the identifier. It's not very useful for the user, but definitely for now it's much quicker and shorter to display. So now the concrete ones, and they are here, less than the steel ones. Okay, so we have provided some input and we are reacting to the changed variable, and then we are trying to filter all of those model objects from the Trimble Connect API by any of the properties, and that is something which you can improve, that not try to find in any properties but only inside of some of them. For example, that someone would be interested only in a profile and they would like to find only in a profile value. Maybe this was too big simplification, because that value returned by the API, it can be also the number. So you could try to get it with some threshold, with some margin. But yeah, it all depends on the use case. But yeah, I just wanted to show that you can try to find the model objects based on some property. Of course, it demands before getting all of those properties, and by default they will be not returned by the API. As you remember, at the very beginning we just obtained the identifiers of those objects, so it's not very useful, only those from 0 to 1000 something, and you have to specify different type of selector to load them, and of course it will take more time, because as you spotted, we are getting a lot of those properties, and in bigger models probably the timeouts which you provided, or maybe even not provided, as a last parameter of that connect function, here it is, set by default to 10 seconds, maybe you will need to increase that, because yeah, loading all of those properties can be time consuming, especially for the big BIM models. But then the question is this searching in a naive way is the best way to handle those big elements, big models? I'm not sure, but okay, we are just learning Trimble Connect API, and I wanted to show you some possibilities, what you can achieve with that. But of course, now our UI looks very, very ugly. So in the next video, we will try to fix that and try to provide much better visual appearance of those controls, of those sections, and maybe we will try to provide better functionality for this searching, because currently it's not the best. But okay, for today, that's all. Part 5 marked as finished. See you next time.